So I've actually played Evoker since it came out during the Dragonflight pre-patch. It has finally been like the one class that I enjoyed playing because it has everything that I'm looking for in a class, and we didn't have that up until now. Like both when it came to like transmog, having a sword, but you're still a spellcaster, you have self-healing. Like it just kind of like has everything except stealth. But there's something that I've seen a lot of people talk about, especially on forums. Forums are a very toxic place to go, but I like to go in there because there's a lot of opinions, and there's one specifically that I heavily agree with, and I've actually made many posts myself in there, kind of going over some things that I think they kind of screwed up a little bit when it came to creating the Evoker class. Now, Evoker is half dragon, half humanoid. I think something like that, according to like the lore or something. But we do have quite some transmog issues, both in terms of like how the eyes look like, how transmog looks like, people thinking that evokers should be able to be different races. Like, for example, we have Chromie who can become a gnome, so why should we not be able to become a gnome? Because, we can turn into whatever form we want to, right? So, like, that's the whole idea about evoker. Also the fact that a lot of people, when they try to make their like evoker, it's very difficult getting something that doesn't look anime. I think like that's a nice word people are using, like, looking anime. So like there's a lot of things there with evoker that are just kind of like not quite what the player base wanted. And the dragon form, let's not forget about that one. People didn't want this kind of dragon form. They wanted the big guards that we have around the Dragon Isles, because they look big and bulgy and, what people wanted, right? Now, the first thing that I want to address here is the transmog issue, because transmog is very important inside this game. It's one of the reasons that we farm old content. It is, I spend a lot of time just on my transmog mount because I like to put outfits together. You can see I created one here that I think looks really awesome. This is very like low-key fantasy. It's not like a lot of big shoulders that glow or anything like that. And when it comes to transmog, if you look at the evoker, like they had this weird midway idea that we should get shoulders and belt, but everything else is not something we can see. And a lot of people are heavily arguing that we should be able to see all the transmog on the dragon, which in my opinion, I actually kind of like the barber options that we got in here. You can see I already went to the barber because I knew I was going to talk about it. But going into the barber options, if we take the dragon, you can actually see that we do actually have a lot of different options when it comes to like how to customize our dragon. When it comes to the shoulders as well, which is kind of weird because, we can just like put our own shoulders on using the Transmogrifier. My personal opinion, which is a little bit of a hot take according to the forums, is that I actually think we should not be able to see our real transmog in dragon form at all. I think we should just be able to use the barber options, and when we become a dragon, we just see the barber options. Like there's no shoulders, there's no belt. But I do also know that a lot of people want transmog to be shown. Both options I would be very happy about. I would love to see transmog on the dragon as well, but it's kind of like if we have to ask for something and actually get it, this right here is like the worst decision, because this is a halfway decision. This is like a person, like the department for creating, the evokers, they had two people. One did not want to see the transmog in dragon form, and the other one wanted to see all the transmog in dragon form. And then they kind of like collided, and they decided, let's just do half-half. And now we got this weird looking thing, which looks decent right now because I've learned to transmog my person in a way that when I turn into a dragon still looks decent, but in most cases it's going to look weird. Like the shoulders and belt look out of place. They don't look like they fit with the dragon armor, which is just kind of like a weird halfway decision, which I cannot, for the thought of me, know why they decided to do it that way. So transmog is a big issue on the forums. It is something that a lot of evoker players are very unhappy about. When I ask other people, why do you not play evoker? They mention transmog. So, transmog is a really big issue. Also the fact that I can see my sword, but if I get into combat, I love how that dragon looks like me. My sword disappears unless I actually take it out. Oh, it just like fades into existence from my back. I can't see the sword on my back, which I would love to. So there's a lot of things there that, I don't know, it just feels a little bit weird, half-baked, you know, like they didn't really figure things thoroughly over. Because it's a WoW game, right? We love transmog. It's one of the big things that we farm for. The whole reason that I think most people do raids is to get transmog. It's not to get better gear in most cases. The gear is just a bonus, but it you know, next patch the gear becomes obsolete, but the transmog stays. So, you know, having good transmog is just very important for us to have. And as an evoker, that is a big killer for why a lot of people don't play this class. I personally, when I'm in combat, I like the fact that I'm a dragon and I'm shooting a beam out of my mouth and stuff like that. So I'm okay with it, but I can definitely see the transmog being a really big issue, especially like I like this set here, which is why I'm okay looking like this, but any other sets that I put on looks weird in combination when it's like half-half. Another thing that I'm also really unhappy with, and I think this is actually why a lot of people think these look anime. If you go to the barber options, let's just go ahead and do a couple of random customizations here. Like if I randomize my appearance, you can see there's a theme here, right? This does not look WoW. This looks, I don't know, like a anime game, you know, like we have these Korean MMOs. I don't know, it looks very not like, you know, like this manly, you know, we have orcs and humans and, you know, they're battling each other, and it's very like you can almost smell the musk from the guys, right? This is the opposite of that, and it's something a lot of people criticize when it comes to the evoker, when it comes to customization options. One of the things that I think is really the killer for this specifically, like I think this might be like 30% of why people think these look anime, if I go back to my appearance here, is actually because the eyes doesn't look like all the other dragons inside World Dragon, or just around the dragon eyes. Like these are not dragon eyes. Like these looks like the aspects eyes. If you take a look at them, let's actually go and look at them really quick. Yeah, so this is a very good place to kind of like prove my point. So these are dragons, right, as NPCs. And if you take a look at them, they have dragon eyes. Like they have full on everything inside their eyeball is like full on a dragon eye. Just like if I were to go inside my dragon form, if my latency can actually keep up, there we go. If I go into my dragon form, I have a full dragon eye. But if I were to go inside my human form, now I have glasses on so you can't really see it, but I have like the white iris with blue eyes in the center. And if you take a look at the aspect over here, which is, what is she called? I'm on the spot right now, so I can't. Alexstrasza, right? She has the same anime eyes. Like she has the center of the eyeball is dragon eye and everything else is white. So this is the same thing that evokers are getting, but I think in reality to look like real, like, you know, dragons, we should also be able to get the dragon eyes, which just looks so much better, honestly. There they are. I don't know why they keep fading out of existence. Like those eyes just look a lot better because they're full-on dragon eyes. But if your character got their eyes swapped out for that, like to me, like it's obvious that this is the reason why we look anime. It's the eyes. Like I don't think the face. I think the face is okay. I think we like I look decently menacing as this character here, and you can easily make a menacing character. It's not that that's the issue. It's 90% of the appearance options inside the Barber 4 Evoker is very anime, right? But everything else is, you know, we don't have that many options if you want to look like a Warcraft character. But the eyes definitely is a big thing that I think we should be able to get, which would actually look menacing and like a dragon, and just make the human form look a lot better and less anime. I really think that's one of the big things that people don't realize is actually the thing missing here. A lot of people wanted to be able to swap into different races. So like a gnome or like a human or something else, you know, when they became an evoker and went into humanoid form. And instead we got this, which I definitely think that would be awesome if they just kind of like unlocked all the different races for evoker form. I think Blizzard would kind of be scared that if they did that, everyone would just play an evoker race once we actually get them, and we can play different classes as evoker, because we're going to get that in the War Within. Blizzard actually announced that. You know, if we could just swap into a gnome or a human or an orc or whatever, if we went into evoker form, or like played an evoker, or just a Dracthyr, I think that's the right term, right? Everyone would just pick a Dracthyr because you can freely race swap. Like, they'll never give that to us because they earn a lot of money on race changes. Blizzard is like, that's one of the things that people buy inside the store. So if you can just pick a race that can become all races in the game, like the race change earnings they earn is gonna go way down, because you can just pick an evoker. Like, why would you even pick a human? You know, if you can just play an evoker as a warrior. So we're never gonna get that, and I think that's one of the reasons why they went this direction here with us getting like this custom race that doesn't quite, like, people compare this to a blood elf, right? But we don't really look like blood elves. Like, we look like something new. Like, we have the blood elf model, but we don't have the blood elf appearance. So like, the whole reason we're never going to be getting gnomes, humans, you know, be able to swap between all those, it's simply from an earnings point of view. Like, we're never going to get that. It would just cost Blizzard too much money. Like, they'll lose money on it. So I think their excuse is the fact that, you know, we are kind of like looking like the high elves that you see around the world. Like, when you go to like different areas and you meet a dragon, you know, a typical dragon in humanoid form, like, they're always high elves, which is why we got this high elf looking model. So yeah, we're not going to get humans. It's just never going to happen. You cannot ever play a dwarf as an evoker, like, and have the dwarf form, because it's just not designed that way. The last one that I want to discuss here is something that also I think might be like the second most discussed topic on the... Actually, I think this might be the most discussed topic on the forums, but like between players, we mostly talk about the transmog thing. But being able to fight in humanoid form, because a lot of the people who play evoker hate this form here. They hate looking like a dragon. I personally think they look awesome. They do look slim, but I'm also like thinking to myself that, okay, well, you know, if they look big and bulgy, I don't know. Like, I kind of like the slim option. Should they add a much bulgier version? Yes, I think they should, because it's always a good thing to make players happy. When people, they say like, oh, I do not want the option to fight in humanoid form because we got the dragons and that's how it's supposed to be played. Like, when people, they come with arguments like that, like, it's if they made that change so you could actually fight in humanoid form, or if you could get like a bulkier version of the dragon, and some people say, no, we should not get that. Like, there's no downside to getting it. There's only upsides. Like, you're only gonna make players happy. Like, the only reason not to want those kinds of things is because you don't want other players to be happy. So I always find that argument to be a little bit vague and just not really thought out. Like, it's empathic, intelligent people. Like, it's not that kind of person who says no to that kind of thing. But being able to fight in humanoid form is also one that is heavily discussed on forums. Like, I think that is the top thing that people talk about. I completely agree that we should be getting that, because first of all, we see dragons fight in humanoid form constantly inside this game. We do actually have the animations for it. I don't know if people who play Evoker has seen it before, but sometimes when things bug out a little bit and you attack, let's say I use Disintegrate, but something goes wrong with the animation of my character and I do not swap into the dragon form. That can happen rarely, like it rarely happens, but I have seen it happen. And you basically have the model pull out their hand like this, and then they shoot a beam out of their hand. So we have the animation. It's all there. Like, you can just do it. Even like Fire Breath and Eternity Surge, like you can just like have the character put their head forward and just do it or something. But there is animations specifically I've seen personally for the Disintegrate where they put their hand out and shoot a beam out. So fighting in humanoid form is, I think, something they should just like toggle on, and then we can do it. And just like how we have a chosen identity where we can like go in and say, well, when I'm outside combat, automatically swap into human form, we should also have a spell that just simply allows us to toggle whether or not we want to fight in human form or in dragon form. So that is also one that I personally think we should be able to get, because I totally understand people who do not like the dragon form. To me, it's a big question about the fact that I like looking at my humanoid dragon form. I would love to see my sword. I would love to see my transmog. This would actually solve the transmog issue. If people could fight in human form, you would see a transmog 100% of the time, right? And if you are forced into dragon form when you're fighting, you don't actually see a transmog. So that would solve the transmog issue people are having if we could just be able to fight in human form. So that is the thing we should be able to do. So with that said, there used to be many other bugs with evoker, like using pyre. If you used it on an enemy and then you went and line of sighted the enemy, the pyre would still like actually visually hit the enemy, but it wouldn't actually deal damage. So like it would just kind of like plop and like nothing would happen. But they fixed that, I believe. So like there was a lot of things with evoker that needed fixing, but I'm talking more about the visual things in this video here. Things that players are unhappy with. Like, I love evoker. This is like the one class that I've played ever since it came out, since Dragonflight like launched. I've played evoker ever since they launched, and it's the perfect class for me. The only thing it's missing is stealth, but again, we can't have everything. So, you know, I would love to see evoker just kind of like getting the, what should you say, like the post-release treatment. You know, what did players like or what did they dislike? How can we make all the players happy? How can we make the evoker look as good as possible to get more players playing it? Because it's a heavy negative for players wanting to play evoker, the fact that they can't see the transmog and they can't make something that doesn't look anime. Like, a lot of people, they'll try and they might have, like, they might not be the type of person who likes spending a lot of times at the barber trying to get a certain look. And to those kinds of people, you know, it is hard getting something that doesn't look too anime. And I think I got something here that's decent. You know, I think this could be like a Warcraft character. And again, like Dracthyr, he also looks kind of like this. You know, he looks a little bit anime. Dragons, I guess they don't look rough, because why would they choose to look rough, you know, with a scar or something, if they cannot, you know, when they can just pick their form. But yeah, I definitely think that that's something players should be able to just, you know, they should have these things. So that's what I had for my rant today. So if you agree, let me know. If you do not agree, then let me know, because, you know, I definitely think that these are things that we should consider and take, you know, we should have these changes.